All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we are here with the Area 51 Super Speedway Truck Series here at Talladega Superspeedway. This is race number 2 of the season. We're going to get things kicked off here shortly. Drivers putting on their qualifying laps and working out some of the kinks and hiccups and stuff to say, again, going to be exciting. Boomer's first broadcast here with running the show here at Green White Checkered TV. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to get Boomer kind of familiar with everything. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got in store because I know he's going to do a great job for us. Handing over the reins a little bit over. So it's going to be a lot of fun to get Boomer nailed down here. We're working on it, working on a few little kinks here and there, but kind of status quo for the strategy here tonight. It's going to be, of course, 75 laps, our scheduled race distance. Of course, though, the potential for those 3 green-white checkered attempts, and of course, the all-one important fast repair. So we'll see how that comes into play. And tonight we do have defending series champion, the 23 of Vicente Guerrero, Sebastian Marin is back on track here with us this evening. So definitely glad to have Sebastian back. And we'll see what these guys got in store for us. And also happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody that is watching, maybe celebrating. I got some insider info on some margaritas that may or may not have been consumed over on my partner in crime side of things, but
that could be why the technical difficulties started. But I think we are ready to go here tonight. So, yeah, should be a fun night.
Looking good, and Boomer, I'm so happy to have you on board here on the broadcast side of things, and then I'm really excited to get you get your feet wet with the back end here now, actually running the show. Again, I know for you it's a lot to learn and to get familiar with kind of on the fly, so really appreciate you kind of being willing to take over the reins, and also for those that are going to be keeping an eye on the league in general. Tuesday night on the Indy Series, Boomer's also going to be running the show over there, so be ready to see some Boomer and either Matt Wagner action, or maybe we'll see if we can get some other help in the booth as well. But it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're working out all the kinks and getting everything cleared up here. But right now, still got a little under a minute left in qualifying here, Boomer, and seeing a couple pretty big laps here. Just waiting for those big hitters to, seems like a little bit of strategy, maybe trying to wait for that last moment to throw those laps down.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward to got a couple more seconds here left in qualifying, probably about just over 20 seconds to go before we start the gridding process here tonight. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this second race of the season. Looking to see Sebastian Marin finally getting a chance to defend his title, obviously missing from race number 1, but he will be here tonight among a lot of our other regulars here in the Area 51 League, as well as a few regulars as well as a few new faces. So we're excited to see them racing tonight and get to see how this all goes down.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward for me to try to say I'm pushing all these buttons okay, I'm going to do this and this and this. Oh, wait, no, I'm not doing any of these. This is all you, Boomer. So
yeah.
We're going to let you take it away here because qualifying has just completed. So let's go ahead and let's pull up that starting grid and see where our racers are going to kick it off here tonight.
Yeah, so far so good. I figured out how to get the grid going, so we'll see how it goes tonight. But we are going to list off our starting grid for tonight. And in first on the pole is going to be Jimmy Crow Jr. in the 39 truck, followed by Gabe Butler to his outside in the number 1. Second row will be Sebastian Marin in the number 23, our defending series champ, followed by Gary Slopinski in the 78 truck. We also have Vicente Guerrero in the 14 and JD Crow in the 5 to his outside. We also have BK Anderson in the 32 and Eric Laurie in the 071, followed by Robert Dupont in the 07 and Bud Steele in the 6 truck. Also, Jimmy Reynolds driving the number 17 truck tonight with Michael Spell in the 88 to his outside.
Yeah, then 13th on back here. So again, new names, new faces, going to be that number 25, Mike Rimka, as well, to keep an eye on him and see what he's able to do here with these guys this evening. So good to see, again, some new names, new faces. Next to him, the 388 of Douglas Johnson, 14th. Saying, I don't believe any relation, but they can get Charles Johnson there, 15th, Kyle Heath in 16th, Derek Gilray, Randy Miner, William George, Jason Adams rounding out our top 20. And then a little further back, then you go to Robert Rock, Andrew Schroeder, Keith Horner, and Bob Fitzgerald. And then again, a few new more faces here, Boomer. We got the 510 and the 509 here. You'll see in just a moment. You got Richard A. Sanchez, Todd Siebels, Charles Sanchez, and then Dean Wilkinson and Brendan Briggs. So I think the question on our minds, at least on my mind personally, is going to be, which of those two, Charles versus Richard, which is going to be the favorite brother this evening. So we'll see, because let's say timing is about perfect here, Boomer. I think that pace car is just about ready to roll, and we're going to kick things off here tonight against 75 laps.
Definitely be an exciting one to see here tonight as these trucks start to roll for their pace lap before they take the green flag tonight. Again, 75 laps will be working here tonight at the Talladega Superspeedway. Reminder that we switch back and forth between the two Superspeedway tracks that we have available, other than, I guess, the iRacing Superspeedway, but two of the real-life Superspeedway tracks that we have for this league. And next week, I believe we will be back at Daytona after our first two races here have been at Talladega, both during the day. Obviously, no lights here at Talladega, so nice, bright, and sunshiny day for the trucks. Definitely something that you can always count on in the sim, Gael, having a nice and clear sky for some beautiful racing.
Yeah, maybe a future challenge though, say a Talladega night race with these trucks. That'd be an interesting combo to do. Say probably something you'd see in some of those moon car type events over there. But big pole position though for that 39, Jimmy Crow Jr. getting that bonus point, locking up that pole. Let's say Ben say I'm looking at front though too to talk about the teammates and everything. You see 1, 2, 3 there with Jimmy, Gabe, and Sebastian. I mean that's the boot knockers right there up front. JD Crow not too far behind them, but saying I think if I was peeking over in the chat seeing who's where, I believe I also see Gary Slapinski in there. So really, you've got about the top 5 or so qualifying spots in that same Discord here tonight. So that's going to be a tough group to battle with, and even right behind him, Eric Laurie in the 071. So right now, if you're BK Anderson, you're kind of feeling like the odd man out. I have a feeling in that Scrub and Bubbles 32.
Yeah, definitely. You'll be looking to see where your help is going to come from tonight. Could come from a stranger, could come from a teammate, but definitely going to hope to be in this one till the very end and try to survive some of the chaos that I guarantee will eventually happen. So we're going to look here as the pace car is going to duck off. Obviously a long rundown here in iRacing to the green flag, and as always, our leaders will start on the green flag for the initial start.
Yeah, it's like that long way through the start-finish line, through the travel, I should say, to kick things going as we're about to get rolling here. Just waiting for that green flag to fly, as it's going to be Jimmy Crow Jr., Gabe Butler leading the field to green, as now the green flag is out, and we are underway. 75 laps, our scheduled distance tonight here at Talladega. I'm getting some big commentary over here from our YouTube chat. One of our Super Speedway's Xfinity Series champion suggesting maybe start running some legacy Daytona for those that like some bumps and bruises in their racing. So that'd be a pretty big idea there, and to see what these drivers have in store for a very bumpy racetrack. So that'd be pretty fun to see what they could do with that one as well.
Yeah, definitely a lot of bumps there at the old Daytona Superspeedway, but yeah, some fun here tonight working Talladega. Definitely a bit wider than its Daytona counterpart, and just a little bit longer. And again, we always have that unique start-finish line, not in the center of the tri-oval, but down on the short chute between the tri-oval and turn number 1 as they look to finish lap number 1. And it looked like Gabe Butler might have actually led that lap there on the outside.
Yeah, it was tight, that start-finish line. So and that's the thing, is it's all about at the right time and right place of when you want to try to get those set up. So yeah, right now they head back down the backstretch here to kick off lap number 2. And yeah, I say right now pretty even keeled here. And I think honestly, like I said, with these guys, a lot of these guys being in that same Discord, probably pretty content with where they are here at the moment. Just let's say they kind of got control of this track right now until that third lane starts to form. So we'll have to see if and when that's going to really start to kick off, because right now, like I said, the first of those that aren't part of that team up front are the 14 Vicente Guerrero, the 07 Robert Dupont. So say, again, kind of slim pickings for those guys that really have anywhere to go at this point early. But again, early in the race, don't expect to see too many huge moves right away.
Yeah, definitely not. The field kind of settling in here 2 by 2 for quite a ways back, and just kind of riding it out for now. Obviously, we saw some chaos that played in some very interesting pit strategy, where 3 drivers were able to break away from the rest of the pack at the end of last week's race in order to, like I said, lead their own pack and were able to actually pull away as 3 separate individual cars from the rest of the pack from 4th on back. So some interesting strategy and something that I'd never seen before, honestly, ever in any plate racing I've ever been a part of. So it'll be interesting to see if how and when the strategy flies and when people will need to pit. We're hearing that it's about 20 laps of fuel if you are in the draft, and by yourself looking a few less, maybe less than 19 laps. So not too much of a difference with the lower fuel load in these vehicles tonight, but still definitely going to be a difference in playing with that strategy and maybe trying to run it long or short pit and see how the yellows fly and how that affects your track position.
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, so it will say pretty much guarantees that minimum of 3-stop race on fuel. You do have to be a little careful. You can't go kind of full tilt from start to finish. If you can't get to, you need to get to basically 19 laps on each tank of fuel to be able to make it to the end on that 3-stopper. So right now I say no question on what that strategy is, but up front, I say that third lane starting to form here. Say some Roswell teammates. Oh, a little bobble through the travel deal. You got the 6 of Bud Steele leading the 88 of Michael Spell, and Dean Wilkinson's going to join the party here for good measure as well. Say one of Matt Wagner's buddies always run that top side, that 37 in the Tecate sponsorship tonight. So maybe some Cinco de Mayo themes as there in that 37 of Keith Horner.
It's always fun here on Cinco de Mayo. A couple drivers looking to either got shuffled out there or drop in the back, maybe. I know the last time
strategy.
The last time was it Gabe Butler said that he did that. He actually got pushed out of line. But yeah, definitely a little bit of some urgency here at the beginning of this race as people try to look and make it 3 wide. That 55 truck out on the outside there of Dean Wilkinson leading that outside charge. Obviously, we still have the 78 of Gary Slapinski being pushed by the 5 truck of J.D. Crow on the inside, and Bud Steele in the 6 truck being pushed by in the 88 Michael Spell in the middle lane there. So definitely starting to get a third lane going here a little bit, and obviously we've got that 37 of Keith Horner Jr. Absolutely loves to rip that outside line and having some fun here with it tonight already. But it'll be interesting to see. I know we've got a lot of paint schemes in this pack for that. Oh, looks like we got a bit of a wreck.
Looks like they're going to keep it straight for the moment, but now it's going to be tough. They got to try to get merged back in. Yeah, stay green, but we'll see if they can get all merged back together, but it's really going to shake the running order up here. So this is where drivers are going to be at risk of losing this draft, so everybody's going to be very careful here, get back on their toes as we still stay under green.
Real quick, let's take a look back at what happened. We're going to go see on board with Jimmy, or not on board, but, excuse me, this was a little bit of hiccups here as we get better with the... maybe not. We'll try and find where they are now live. I apologize. Replay not quite working the way we expected, but we're back live again. So we'll get that ironed out. Maybe a few growing pains here, but it'll be okay. So we're back live here with Gary Slapinski again, still leading the pack with J.D. Crow on his bumper, but you can see how much this field really has separated here with quite a bit of a gap here back to some of these guys and really, really strung out here.
Yeah, exactly right. It's kind of broken up into 3 packs, really. Say, obviously, that first pack going to about to the top 11, it looks like, with Derek Gilleray right there. And then you got to go back just a little over a second to that 6 of Bud Steele that's leading that second pack. And then, unfortunately, then it even grows even further as you go back as well to the 040 of Andrew Schroeder. It looks like a little bit of right front nose damage to his truck. And you can see pretty quickly on the fly there, you see the one of Gabe Butler, Jimmy Crow Jr. They're going to try to jump top here, try to lead that pack back up to them. The same thing a little further back here with these guys, Brandon Briggs, Richard Sanchez, and actually Dean Wilkinson. He's completely lost the draft here in that 55 and pretty significant damage as well to that 55. So he's going to be banking and hoping for a yellow to get him back in contention, because right now he's riding at about 161 miles an hour while the leaders are up in the 188. So I say Dean might even have to think about just unfortunately having to jump way earlier than he plans to and try to hit pit road, and maybe have to burn that fast repair right off the bat here.
Yeah, definitely a little bit further behind than he would have liked to be here tonight. But yeah, unfortunate for him. Looks like he's continuously dropping off the pace, so I would assume some substantial damage for that 55 here tonight.
Yeah, and he's driving off the apron. He's going to go hit pit road like we talked about. So what I would suspect we'll see here is fast repair and probably just basically take enough fuel to kind of top it off just in case. No tires, I would suspect, for 55, so probably be a pretty quick pit stop, but I believe will most likely get trapped a lap down, unfortunately. So, and right now, we mentioned the drivers that have fallen off the back here. It looks like we've got just about to where now Todd Siebels, Jimmy Crow Jr., Gabe Butler, just about to tag onto the back of that second pack. That third pack, though, is in a pretty tough spot here with that 25 of Mike Rimkus leading, the 63 of Brandon Briggs, Richard Sanchez, and then Andrew Schroeder, Keith Horner, and Charles Sanchez. So they're having to chase things back up. But again, some of these drivers limping along with some a little bit more damage than they'd be hoping for. And I think that's what's kind of affecting their abilities to try to catch that pack. So right now, pretty much one solid pack here with, again, that little gap between the 99 and the 6 of Bud Steele. Because now, as I say that, these guys are going to go 3x3 here, trying to hustle back up here, just getting maybe a little, again, everybody's getting a little dicey of trying to figure out how to get, who's going to be the one to lead them back to that main pack.
Yeah, and this is something that we saw interesting last week, where people were not necessarily willing to just get in line and push. They really wanted to try to be the leader of whatever pack that they were in, and it just didn't necessarily seem to work out too well for them. And unfortunately, there it led that group of 3 cars lead away and make that strategy work last night. So you can see a little bit of Gabe Butler starting to get organized, leading that front there as they start to single file out for that second group. And I think they might have a chance to maybe start making their way. It looks like they're making a little bit of headway. Obviously, Gabe Butler's leading the charge there on that pack as they try to make their way back up to the front pack.
And they're going to get a little bit of a bonus too, because they're just going to pick up the draft of that 55 of Dean Wilkinson, who had to get that fast spare taken, and saying he's tagged on just off to the back of those guys, but I say he's just far enough back where now the one truck can start to pick up a lot of draft off of him. So this is going to be a great opportunity for Gabe here. And to say last time by, Gabe was about 0.3 quicker than the leader, and saying he's just about there already. So right now it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of broken the pack up a fair bit. Say the group that we have to be careful with is just a little further back there with Robert Rock leading Randy Minor. Bud Steele, again, I think he's got some damage that just is affecting his top end. So not going how some of these guys wanted to in the opening laps, and saying those incidents that don't bring out yellows always make a huge outcome of how these races could unfold. So like I said, a lot of drivers are going to be hoping and banking on a yellow to get them back into it.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Robert Rock back here and a few others leading a bit of a disorganized pack here. Obviously, we see Robert Rock and Randy Minor trying to push to get back, but they are currently 2.5 seconds off of the pack in front of them. And definitely seems like it might be pretty tough for them to get back up to the lead pack. But we'll jump back up here as we see the 23 of Sebastian Marin leading the inside line, followed by Gary Slapinski as they are working on lap number 12 here. And pretty organized here in this front group, it looks like, after that first chaos. It always kind of seems like in this league, there's a little bit of chaos at first, and then they kind of settle down, and then they kind of ramp it back up at the end. So hopefully to see a little, more lessons learned there from that first race, and try to calm down a little bit. Obviously, just about the only thing to really try and calm down the field is first being early still, and having an early incident. So definitely looking to see a little bit more of a quiet pack here as we looks to see the 23. Or sorry, not the 23, that'll be the 32, of BK Anderson pushing Vicente Guerrero up on the outside. Looked like he might have had a chance to maybe jump down or maybe not been clear, but Sebastian Marin pulls ahead again, back on that inside line, staying strong.
Yeah, saying that is some teamwork here with that 14 and 32. So I said they've got the two of them, but they're up against a pretty solid group of drivers there with the Butenacher team. Like I said, with the 23, the 78, the 5. We know they're all sharing the same Discord here tonight. But yeah, I do need to mention, of course, we talked about the one of Gabe Butler and Jimmy Crow and company. They did catch back up to that pack. So the other driver I was watching there a little bit further back was that 55 of Dean Wilkinson. Even going down a lap here, he is playing teammate in this thing. He has dropped back to pick up his teammates there of Randy Minor and Robert Rock. Try to see if he can make this 3-truck combo be a little stronger than those 2 trucks. Maybe help his teammates get back in that main draft, but of course also keep their pace up. So pretty ballsy move, in my opinion, by that 55 to kind of put himself at a bit more risk of not getting the lucky dog in case someone else drops back off and is able to catch the lead pack, if you will. So very unselfless, or selfless act, I should say, by that 55 to work with his teammates here, even putting himself in maybe just a little bit more risk of not getting that lap back here.
Right, and I think as of right now, he may be the only guy one lap down. I also see Mike Rimkus. Doesn't look like he's being scored, but I didn't see him leave the track, so it does say
it looks like
out.
a connectivity hiccup, unfortunately. So I was checking on my side, and it looks like some sort of a connection hiccup, unfortunately. So it drops the 25 out of it for the moment. We'll see. Hopefully he can rejoin it, but yeah, it leaves us 28 trucks on track here, 27 still on this lead lap.
Definitely starting to consider pitting, maybe for another 3-4 laps here, probably. But gonna start seeing a couple guys probably start to drift off and enter the pits. Definitely getting close to that window. It's interesting here because obviously you can go 20 laps, we said, in the draft. So that pretty much puts you at a 3-stop or a 4-stint, if you would, pit strategy, unless something comes where there's lots of yellows and we can get a chance to save a ton of fuel, and you can maybe stretch it to, was it 2 stops and 3 stints, excuse me. So it'll be interesting to see, but as of right now, probably everyone on the 3-stop strategy going about 18, 19 laps every single time to make it to that magic 75 lap total that we have for tonight's race.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's going to be the critical the guess is like, okay, when do you blink first, and yeah, what the fuel mileage some of these guys are getting. So I mean, I'm like, again, if some of these guys are just kind of cruising on the inside, I look at like those guys a little bit kind of mid pack of this group, like Eric Laurie, Michael Spell, Derek Gilray. They can save a good bit of fuel of where they're running right now. Add the 17 of Jimmy Reynolds there as well. So there's a lot of guys that are in a good spot to be able to save that fuel mileage and maybe go a little further. And actually do have a few early pitters here. And I think I'm a little nervous about this call by Andrew Schroeder, Brandon Briggs, but they hit pit road now coming to 18. Or I'm sorry, at 17. So I think this is actually still outside of that 3-stop window to make it to the end. I think they had to come in a little sooner than they really wanted to, but up front looks like everybody's still continuing to stay out here. So I really think that magic number is going to be, like I said, closer to like 19. I think is the absolute earliest you want to make your first pit stop here under green.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have an opportunity if you went 17 laps this time to pretty much only go 19 laps for the rest of them. Or 20 laps, so you're going to really have to start stretching it out. You're only going to have 2 laps to play with, so you'll probably have to go 20 laps, 19 and 19 for your final 2 stints. Pitting that early, but who knows, maybe they needed to make that decision, and Andrew Schroeder may not have had a chance, or Andrew Schroeder and Brandon Briggs may not have had a chance, but it actually looks like they got a little bit split up as they came out of pits, probably about 3 seconds in between the two, so it definitely doesn't help them getting off of pit road to get lined up and try to push each other, but it does also look like the number 6 of Bud Steele and Bob Fitzgerald are in, and looks like we also have trying to grab him here, yes, Robert Dupont will be coming in this time all by himself as well, so that'll be interesting to see how he can manage to get back going again without really any help, so that's definitely not going to be too ideal for him. I mean, absolutely no one else pretty much on pit road here with him.
Yes, and this is where the nerves start to pick up, in my opinion, for like a Dean Wilkinson, because Bud's got a pretty solid pit exit going right now for him in that 6 truck, and might be able to just tag onto the back of that 24 truck here of Jason Adams. And if that's the case, that's going to now put Bud in that catbird seat for that lucky dog if there's an untimely yellow, whereas Dean, unfortunately, would basically have to pit and then try to hope for another caution. So it's like he kind of is risking itself, but I mean, we'll see. But we have big pack kind of hitting pit road here.
Everybody, absolutely everybody to pit lane this time, and we will see. Hopefully everyone gets slowed down here. We'll switch to the pit lane cam and watch this gaggle of cars come down pit road. There are absolutely a ton of them coming down pit road this time by.
Yeah, looks like everybody got in clean, no contact. The big question mark, of course, now is, did everybody get down to speed in time? We won't know that until they complete their pit stops. But up front, though, Mr. Fuel Mileage, that 45, Todd Siebels, he's going to go at least one more lap, probably just the one more lap here. And he's not going to lose a ton of time. He's got good pushing help from that 6 of Bud Steele. So that was a good opportunity for Todd to try to get a little bit here out of it as well. But yeah, here comes that whole pack out of pit road, and looks like pretty solid job by all these guys. Looks like everybody rolled out after about 9-10 seconds of fuel, and we're back going here. So great job by all those guys. Looks like no speeding penalties on entry for this pack right now.
Yeah, as we see them all come out pretty coordinated and calm. Maybe a little bit of a break before some of them, but I think there's maybe like a one and a quarter second delay between Jimmy Reynolds and Gabe Butler here as they are coming out of the pits, but shouldn't be too terrible for them there.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the intervals right now. Yeah, so pretty much you've got a 6-truck breakaway from Sebastian Marin back to Jimmy Reynolds. And then you got to go about another second and a third back to Gabe Butler, he's got good help right behind him. Like you said, they all kind of just are staggered a little bit. So this is where you got to really start just work with who's around you, make those big pushes, and just try to catch back up to the draft here. As you see, they're working their way around the 45 of Todd Siebels as he builds back up to speed. This might be a tough one for Todd here. We'll see where he cycles back in, see if he gets him a little bit of help, hopefully. Worst case, maybe his TW teammates. But right now, looking to me like we're going to have at least a 10-truck pack here once they all kind of get all kind of sucked up back together there. The one I'm a little nervous about right here is this 2-truck combo of the 99 of William George and the 13 of Kyle Heath. Not sure if the two of them are going to be enough to charge back up to BK here.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a mixed bag for getting off of pit road. Some people fairly close together, other people's lined up, and it looks like we do have about the top, maybe about the top 10 or so that are just about nose to tail here now, and a few of them catching this pack even more. Trying to build that up, but there's definitely a bigger gap back to 2, 3, 4, and 5 truck packs kind of scattered throughout. So it'll be interesting to see where they net out after this, the end of this pit run goes, or this, and we just finished our first round of pit stops. So it'll be interesting to see if they have the ability to kind of lock up and push each other back to this pack here, now being led by Sebastian Marin and again Gary Slapinski and JD Crow. Those three have been pretty consistently up here at the front, but we'll see if the rest of these guys that are further back in the pack can link up and not overheat before they push each other all the way back to this front pack.
Yeah, so I'm watching right now that 99 and 13 trying to work together. Now picked up the 37 there of Keith Horner, but I'm not sure if they're aware of the front of that 37 truck is pretty roughed up. I don't know if this is the right call to push him, but actually looking at the timing and scoring, it looks like they are going the right way here, and they are going to catch this group, it looks like, actually. So I'm going to mark myself as way wrong on that one, but I think there's also must have been a little hiccup there because see, Gabe Butler, he's dropped off the back a fair bit in this number 1 truck. I think actually kind of looking like he's dropping back to maybe pick up some teammates. And I'm looking at the timing and scoring. I'm going to say it's Jimmy Crow Jr. that he's dropping back to go team up with here. As I said, here comes Jimmy. He's jumping to the top here. So I think some more teamwork coming up here pretty shortly.
Yeah, so look back at those TW Motorsports guys. Well, one of them, TW Motorsports, going to play a little bit of strategy there to make that pack work. Obviously, they've got a little bit of a gap back to the lead pack and all the rest of them, but these are pretty much the rest of the guys that are more or less on the lead lap. Obviously, ended up not working out too great for Bud Steele because he's actually 30 seconds back from this pack and pretty much working alone. Definitely not the pit cycle that he would have expected to want to have, but yeah, definitely a tough one there after he had such great luck to come out and tag onto the end of that pack after pitting early, but that pack pitted all at the same time and just didn't cycle out at the same time as him, so unfortunate for him there.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out for them. And say now looking at some drivers starting to maybe think about making some moves again up front here. The 14 and 32, Vicente Guerrero, B. Anderson, they said, all right, we've done our single fire riding for a little bit. Let's start rolling again. So as you start the lap number 25 here, say the 1432, trying to work up top there, looks like maybe going to try to pick up that 37 truck as well. Saying a lot of these guys right now are going to try to be recovering off of being off the lead lap right now. And that's going to be the next question, of course, is kind of that lucky dog battle, which right now, I think as it stands, it's going to be, I'm trying to see where it starts off. Actually, it's going to be the 63 of Brandon Briggs I believe, is in that position as the first truck 1 lap down. So like I said, trying to double check some of the timing and scoring here. So yeah, some of these guys trying to go from 1 down to lead lap, maybe 2 down to the 1 down. So we'll see. But yeah, right now that second line starting to make a little bit of noise here with BK and Vicente here as they get to the front now.
Yeah, those guys have been working really well on the outside. Obviously, they pick up the number 9 truck now of Charles Johnson as well, and a few others are going to start now that they've also got the 88 of Michael Spell. Yeah, so 4 rows deep, 2 wide, as that outside lane definitely gets going. But man, I've been very impressed by Vicente Guerrero and BK Anderson. They've done a very, very good job of making sure they are pushing on the outside and getting to the front. Obviously, I'd kind of been interested. I know we talked about the chaos that kind of happens early in some of these races and then kind of quiets down. But it's been fairly quiet so far, and we really haven't had a lot of people trying to push the issue all the way in that third lane. There really hasn't been that parking lot, as you will, for that classic plate style racing, look, I should say. Yeah, definitely a little quiet. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't hurt that the top 12 here are broken off from most of the pack, with another 5-car group again being led by Gabe Butler about 4 seconds back or so, as we can see that here as they just come into the frame of that shot before we move down the backstretch here. But yeah, definitely quiet so far. I mean, we're probably about halfway through this fuel run now, maybe a little less than halfway, but we're probably getting close again to start thinking about when you want to pit and where you want to be. But again, it looks like we do have another one. The 13 of Kyle Heath has also jumped to the outside. Kyle Heath was our runner-up last week behind Gary Slapinski, who is currently second in the inside row, pushing Sebastian Marin right now as they cross the stripe to start lap number 29.
Yeah, that's not much right now. You mentioned that gap between Gabe Butler and Sebastian Marin, Vicente Guerrero. I've been watching lap times, and they're working hard. There's no doubt, and they've been kind of ebb and flowing, either about the same or maybe a tenth off. This last time by, it was 43 for Gabe compared to a 37 for Vicente and a 33 for Sebastian. So, but right now though, that second line is starting to push, and the 14. Oh, no contact in 3.
Keep it going, Sebastian. Wow, what a job! We're going around. Okay. That should,
Caution is out, and yeah, you see some, unfortunately, some of the big hitters right off the front there. You see some good avoidance going on behind the pack there, but yeah, just unfortunately, looks like maybe spotter called them clear just a little early, or as we've seen before, you're clear for that split second, and then the spotter tries to tell him that there's a car low and just wasn't quite in time. So yeah, unfortunately, the lead pack, a little bit of contact there, but also going to be a massive break for a lot of these drivers, and I believe, pending, of course, the way the caution fell and damage and things of that nature, we'll have to see who may be the one to kind of sneak away with getting the lucky dog here on this yellow.
Yeah, as we're going to take a look back here at that replay. Obviously, again, the 14 getting a little bit sideways, the 23 getting sideways but keeping it, and then the 75 and the 5 just getting sent all the way around on that caution there. Let's go ahead, and we're going to actually go back to the 5. We're going to try and go back to the 5 here and ride on board. My apologies. Still working out the kinks for the replays here, but we'll get better at that. And yeah, definitely a little bit of chaos here early for some of our leaders that we were hoping to not have to see, but throws the caution here. So we'll move back to the leaders live here. BK Anderson did actually pick up the lead here, and we'll try to see who is actually going to pit. Obviously, we were kind of halfway through a fuel cycle here, so it'll be interesting to see. Yep, okay, looks like everyone is definitely going to be coming down pit road. We'll have to see if anyone does stay out. They look like might have been a few here staying out so far, but for the most part, the entire field is going to be coming down pit road here.
Yeah, I think those are probably some drivers that would say, okay, you know what, I'm going to try to get my lap back, or get one or more of my laps back, I should say. And also like I said, should be a wave around truck in this pack as well, which I say I believe. And there he goes, 63, Brandon Briggs. That does put him now back onto the lead lap here. And yeah, the 2 that stayed out, though, a little surprised here, the 24, Jason Adams, he actually stays out in that truck. The other staying out here is that 37 to Keith Horner, who is 2 down currently. This will put him back to 1 down. But again, like I said, though, Boomer, I mean, the fuel mileage, though, he's going to be having to pit here probably again in the next, I would say, roughly 7-8 laps. So we'll see how that shakes out. But looks like Charles Johnson's going to win that race off of pit road here.
Yeah, Charles Johnson leading the race off of pit road with a 7.12 second pit stop. So definitely a huge advantage here over everyone else. And I would assume that that's pretty much just a fuel only stop for most of these guys. A couple further back in the pack, Derek Gilray in the 46 being our first taker looking for tires, as well as Gabe Butler. So they're at 8th and 10th as well. So most of these guys, like I said, probably taking fuel only there. BK Anderson and Vicente Guerrero coming out after Charles Johnson. So we'll have Jason Adams, Charles Johnson, BK Anderson, and Vicente Guerrero and Jimmy Reynolds, your top 5 after our first pit cycle under caution here. And it looks like we will have one natural wave around, I believe, would be... Is that Brandon Briggs there up in the front?
Yeah. Oh no. So Brandon Briggs already got waved by. Yeah. So that's going to be the 37 Keith Horner.
Yep.
The other thing to mention is drivers that maybe opted to save that faster pair, and that's going to be the 23 Sebastian Marin, 37-second pit stop for him in that 23. Honestly, truck not looking too bad after that. So might have been able to do enough to keep that thing in a good spot here. So I say I'm looking at it now, and it looks awful clean. So maybe a little bit of a right front crinkle on the right front tire area, but other than that thing looks pretty spot on. So I think Sebastian's going to be looking good to keep that fast pair in reps. And actually, Jason Adams, he does hit pit road here in that 24. However, we'll have to be careful. So I'm not sure about the iRacing rules here. A lot of times, if you don't pit that first time around and then you get to that one to go, usually it gives you a drive-through or even a stop and hold, I think. So we may see this 24 pit, unfortunately, coming back to green.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate, and I believe you are correct there, Gael, on that. Yeah, definitely want to be smart to make sure that you don't have any issues. Obviously, any unwanted penalties are things that, especially in iRacing, are just about always within your control. I know I've made my fair share, especially at Atlanta Motor Speedway, made my fair share of too fast entering or other black flags, and had to serve penalties under green flag, and they're not fun. Definitely not fun to have to serve knowing that you made a mistake, and just about always will end your night unless it's unless you can get a quick yellow and maybe get a lucky dog or get another wave around or whatever. But yeah, definitely unfortunate for that tonight.
Yeah, Eric Laurie also a little lengthy pit stop in that 071 this time around was 49 seconds for that 071. Yeah, that truck's definitely got some pretty decent crumples to it, so he's trying to get that thing as repaired as he can as well. So and also, as I'm moving around a little bit more, Gary Slipinski, I think, was in the same boat, because now that I look a little closer, he had about 1:07 on pit road in that 78 Cone Police truck. So definitely some trucks going to be limping a little bit of damage, hoping to save that fast repair. So again, this is going to be kind of that risk versus reward here, Boomer. Was it enough to be able to kind of save that damage and save that fast repair, or was this possibly going to cost them the draft? So we'll see what the strategy, how it's going to unfold. But like I said, we're going to restart this thing starting lap number 32. And fuel mileage-wise, I think still pretty solidly right on the 2-stop window. I don't think there's anybody that's going to be able to stretch it on a single one to the end here.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, it was, like you said, it was kind of in the middle of the pit cycle there. Unfortunately, definitely kind of an off strategy pit stop there, but just about everyone taking the opportunity to pit. But yeah, we'll have to probably see everyone make at least one more stop, maybe have to stretch it out for another, depending on how it goes. But we'll look to see the number 9 of Charles Johnson. Yeah, takes it off early and kind of splits up the field a little bit here, as he will lead them back to green starting on lap number 32. Looks like that jump kind of they'll probably catch up a little bit, but it looks like it did kind of stretch out the pack just a little bit. I'm sure we'll have enough opportunity for these guys to catch up back here and get back into a pack, but definitely probably caught a few people off guard there. Definitely went a little earlier than I was expecting. I know that once we are after the first initial green flag, you have the opportunity to go as a leader when you please, and technically at Talladega, you are welcome to go as soon as the pace truck or pace car exits pit road. So definitely a little earlier than we expected, but not a, definitely within the rules for the number 9, as he was the control car for that restart.
Yeah, so the big thing for him was he didn't get kind of swallowed up by those guys when they build the momentum back on him. But it looks like, I'm going to say, job done for those guys. It looks like the whole field catching back up. And sure enough, unfortunately, I do say that 24 of Jason Adams is hitting pit road to serve that penalty. So for those that aren't familiar with iRacing, the way the rules are here, basically, if you don't pit the first time, and then if the pits are going to be one to go the next time, they usually close the pits unless you've already previously pitted. So for Jason Adams, for example, since he stayed out that first time and then they got the one to go, the pits would have been closed to him that second time around. So just unfortunately, just a bit of a mistake, a miscue that he'll have to kind of learn and adapt from and improve on. I'm saying it's also very different for Boomer at the bigger tracks, because again, here it's literally just you come in, you get the one to go, you get back racing. Short tracks under 2 miles, you usually get at least one extra lap, so it gives you a little bit of leeway. But here at Daytona Talladega, it's very quick yellow. So say, we've seen it before. Actually, last week, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Sunday or Thursday. Quabi Brooks actually drove through.
Like.
Oh yeah, you're right. Towards the back here, Sebastian Marin.
We're
Who else
is go green here? It looks like
still green. Yeah, I'll take a look and see what happened. I'll try to see if I can find where it kicked off there.
Try and jump back to Charles Sanchez here. Looks like he just kind of got hooked by Gary Slapinski. We can back this up here just a little bit. See if we can see how this went down. Maybe looking, yeah, looks like maybe the 78 might have been trying to go for the middle lane, and the 509 trying to go for the same spot. Maybe a little bit of a racing deal, but unfortunate for them that it's not enough for them to throw a yellow, and they're going to have to probably draft back up through the field together and, yeah, help each other get back in the pack. So definitely a bit of a miscue there for both of them, but unfortunate for sure for Gary Slapinski, as he was actually, I believe they were both battling on the lead lap at the time, but definitely a bit of a disappointment for Gary, as he was at one point leading this race or in the top 5.
Yeah, so it isn't the way it always works, that you wind up actually having to now work together with the person you just had contact with to try to help your own race. So yeah, it's how those things somehow wind up going all the time. But well, yeah, this is really shaking up the field, because you look right now, you've got the top 10 altogether still, from B. Anderson to William George. You've got the 17 Jimmy Reynolds. He's off on his own here. He's waiting for some reinforcements in the form of Gabe Butler, Richard Sanchez, Randy Minor, and JD Crow. But then after, I'm sorry, actually, no, just to Randy Minor, I apologize. And then the 510, it looks like, is in that group as well. Yeah, Richard Sanchez. And then, yeah, then you have to go back another 3.5 seconds to a much bigger pack. So this is going to be, again, Boomer, this is going to be where it's all about watching lap times. And what's going to help these guys is up front, these guys running 3 wide here for the moment. Charles Johnson trying to find some help. So he's going to get in the form of Bud Steele, but I think at this point, I want to say 3 wide, probably going to slow this pack up front down a little bit. So it could be actually a good break, though, because actually, yeah, even without a draft right now, Jimmy is starting to close the gap on these guys up front. So we're going to have at least 14 back into this mix here in just another lap or two. And then we'll have to keep an eye on JD Crow and company a little further back from 15th.
Yeah, it definitely helps them that this first pack is 3 wide, because that creates a huge hole in the air. Obviously now as they prove me wrong and split back to 2 wide. But that definitely creates a big hole in the air and gives that advantage to Jimmy Reynolds and Gabe Butler leading the charge in that second group as they try to work their way back up to the field here. And looks like they're just about going to connect here and should be able to keep it going. So maybe get a chance to go a little bit kind of maybe through the field here, talk through some of these guys. Obviously positions changed quite a bit here, but let's do a quick review of who's up here in this front pack. Obviously we've got this number 9 of Charles Johnson kind of leading the way, followed by BK Anderson on the inside and Vicente Guerrero. We do also have Bud Steele and Andrew Schroeder in the top 5 with Michael Spell, Kyle Heath, Robert Dupont, Derek Gilray, and William George rounding out your top 10. The last 2 at the back of this pack will be the 17 17 of Jimmy Reynolds, and the number 1 truck of Gabe Butler as that rounds out the back of our pack. Excuse me, we do have Richard Sanchez and Randy Minor as well in this backpack, and we'll take it back to another 5 seconds back will be our first car in this next pack of JD Crow. Obviously, looks like a couple TW Motorsports teammates here in this pack, being led again by JD Crow, Todd Siebels, Jimmy Crow Jr., Robert Rock, Sebastian Marin, Brandon Briggs, Eric Laurie, and Douglas Johnson, all in this mix here in this second pack. So that will bring you through the top 22 drivers for the evening. Obviously, we had Gary Slapinski dropping off of the pack towards the back. We have a couple more cars kind of mixed in the pack with Dean Wilkinson, Charles Sanchez, Bob Fitzgerald, Jason Adams, Keith Horner, all at least 1 lap down.
So right now, definitely, I'd say, so Dean right now, he's looking good on the lucky dog side of things here, Boomer, because right now he's got no pressure behind him for that first truck 1 lap down. So say Dean's just hoping this thing, he gets the yellow, that he's nowhere near to get back into the thick of it. But watching lap times, it's kind of right now hasn't gone the way that these guys in the second pack would be wanting to. Because right now, Charles Johnson last time by 51.62. Todd Siebel's leading this second pack a 51.90. So we'll see, though. I think the 5 and then 45 here are going to try to hook up and start to make some big moves here to try to catch back up. But again, though, with these guys pitting at around lap number 29, lap 30, puts them about halfway through the fuel run here. Look at the up front, though, man. The 32 of BK Anderson is just getting the sucker hole as trucks going to the inside and outside of him. Just like him at this point, he's got to be wondering, what did I do wrong here to let everybody just swing right by me?
Yeah, thankfully going to pick up the 6 of Bud Steele and get in behind him here and not drop too hard too back, but definitely a little bit of middle of the mix here as we're watching on top of the 32 Ford of BK Anderson right in the middle of the mix. A little bit of a wobble there in the middle lane, but we keep it collected and keep it going. It'll be interesting to see. Looks like they are going to be catching a lap car here. Looks like that will be the 55 of Dean Wilkinson. So hopefully, obviously, typically in this league, common courtesy would be to jump off to the apron if there is a lead pack getting to you. And looks like Dean will just opt to take the inside line here and let the leaders go 2 wide around the outside here into turn number 1.
Yeah, it's like a late drop to the apron. Yeah, it looks okay.
That was actually 24
Adams,
Jason Adams instead.
And that's going back to that pit penalty.
Yeah, he had to pit 1 more time. It looked like
maybe a speeding on entry or an unsafe exit or something like that. So just it's one of those things when it rains, it pours. But we got a new name up front here, though. I was saying, say baseball back, and it's going to be that 048 in the New York Yankees Toyota Tundra. Andrew Schroeder leading the way here now. I'll say Andrew in a pretty good spot, and as I looking at the back of that car, he's got the nice championship ring on there. I was saying that's it's going to be what all these players are going to be going for after for the World Series here this season.
Yeah, definitely exciting as we get into that season. Beautiful looking truck here leading the pack, and obviously we've got the I believe the 6 of Bud Steele might have actually led that lap on the outside, but hard to tell here because obviously it's jumping around all the time with our timing and scoring here. But the 048 of Andrew Schroeder still leading the charge on that inside line, which is definitely the strongest line so far. But again, we see the 32 of BK Anderson really just trying to make that outside work. Obviously, his teammate of Vicente Guerrero did drop to the inside, 4 trucks back, the 4th in the inside line there, tucked away nice and safely. Honestly, it sometimes is nice to be in that inside line. Obviously, a couple weeks ago in the Cup Series, we saw the number 1 of Ross Chastain stay down there, stay committed to that line as everyone else kind of moved out of his way, and he was able to pick up a win. So definitely, typically, at least how it would go, you'd see a lot of teams trying to push whoever is in the front of the outside line to the lead, and then they would typically drop down, as you may see the 6 of Bud Steele drop down at the end of the backstretch if he is able to get clear of that 048 of Andrew Schroeder. Not always the case, but typically the case that you would see, at least for Super Speedway racing. And it doesn't look like Bud Steele will have a chance to get clear as they stay side by side heading into turn number 3. Looks like we are working on lap number 43, so we are just over halfway And again, probably about halfway through this pit cycle, probably looking to see trucks starting to think about pitting here within the next 8 to 10 laps or here. So
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, so not too far, definitely over halfway through the fuel run. But yeah, you're right though. You could tell. I'm sure Bud was trying to get to the bottom, but that 13 though, Kyle Heath was basically having none of it. It's like I'm just gonna keep pushing this 048 of Andrew Schroeder. That way you don't even have a chance to get him back in line though. But I've been kind of peeking at a few guys here that have been just kind of cruising in this main pack and just honestly been keeping it, to me at least, pretty quiet. Say one of those is say I'm always kind of biased, but I've just always loved that 46 paint scheme of Derek Gilray. So you got the Super Flow paint scheme on it. Saying he's got the Flow Racing sponsorship, kind of a play on words, if you will. So you got Flow one way or the other on that thing. He does some really good paint schemes in that 46 truck for other drivers as well. So say a lot of good painters and let's say talk about some drivers like Gabe Butler. He helps out with the setups over here at Super Speedway. So just a really good group of guys that are able to kind of help out here and there where they can, helping out their fellow drivers with paint schemes, things of that nature. And yeah, so right now things still going pretty well. And yeah, so yeah, Michelle, say no worries, you're allowed to be late, no problem there. And say hopefully things keep going like they are for BK, because right now he's in a good spot there in that 32 trying to lead that middle lane.
Yeah, the 32 of BK Anderson cleaning up the track here as he works on the outside line. Look at that Bud Steele number 6 truck does drop down to the inside as the 32 of BK does push him clear to the lead, and he will drop in front of the 048 to now lead that inside line. And yeah, definitely some great looking vehicles here in this league. It's really cool to see. It's amazing, really, to see what these guys can do as far as graphic design on these cars. And it's, I mean, it really is just like painting a truck or a car in real life in NASCAR. You pretty much, you would use whatever imaging software you would like to put together a package of decals and designs, and pretty much just how the pros do it. So it's kind of cool. I think even Dale Jr. Mentioned on the Dale Jr. download this past week that something that it's a big part of the sport to have those graphic designers, because there's so many iconic race cars, especially as we get into the throwback weekend in the real world at Darlington. So cool to see all the graphic designs that come to. Looks like as we look to see that we have a little bit of a jumble here at the front. Looks like the 32 is going to be able to duck down to lead the inside lane. The 46 is now going to be sucked up in the middle and kind of left high and dry here, as we'll go watch him here as he crosses the start-finish line from the middle lane of the track.
Yeah, what's interesting here is you look at that third lane. Unfortunately, it looks like they're starting to fall back just a little bit, but this actually could have been a pretty good opportunity for that 24 of Jason Adams and for 37 Keith Horner. Maybe try to charge the two of them and see if they could push their way to maybe get one of those 2 laps back and get themselves back into the thick of things. But you're right, though. I mean, I think the timing there for BK to get to the front here, like I said, just before this pit window's about to open here, not too far distance here, a really great opportunity for 32. Now he's going to be able to kind of lead this bottom. I don't think he's going to have any real challenges from that top side, because right now you only got the 46 and the 88 up top there, and I don't think they'll have enough. But as I say that, though, Michael is giving it all he can to Derek Gilray here. But yeah, I think, again, Boomer, I think pit stop's not too far in the future here, as we're down to 28 to go at the line. So yeah, we'll see. But actually, man, right now, great pushing from this 46-88 duo, because they have gotten to the side of this 32.
Yeah, and we are working on lap number 19 of this fuel run for most of these trucks here in this lead pack. So we'll be definitely looking to see them pit this time or next time by. We'll have to see if the 46, the 88 can get down. Obviously, the 24 has more recently pitted from his struggles, as we've already documented, but it'll be interesting to see. Sometimes it can be a land grab. You can make it work where you're 2 or 3 wide down to the pit lane, but it's definitely got to take a chance to outbreak someone as you get there. As we'll see, no one's still taking,
not this time.
No takers. No, okay.
And say what I am going to mention, though, so we haven't talked about that second pack here, Boomer. They have been steadily gaining. We talked about, I think it was at one point around 6 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. They've gotten down to about 3.5 seconds from the 510 back to the 1 truck of Gabe Butler. So they are starting to make their way a little closer lap by lap here. So last time by was a 51.84 for Todd Siebels, a 51.97 for BK Anderson. So another tenth of a second that last time by. So
Yeah,
especially with this pit stop, this could make a big difference here too. If you can nail that in-lap, out-lap, you might be able to jump that gap between these two packs.
Yeah, definitely. We looked back there to see them pretty neatly tucked in line, and that's definitely the way to go if you want to make some progress moving forward. As we'll look to jump back to the front pack here, and we for sure see quite a few trucks, jump into the inside. We did have about a handful hanging out, but looks like the 048 locking up pretty big, but he looks like he might have made it. We actually got a wreck on pit road. The 07 looked like turning the number 9 truck of Charles Johnson.
Yeah, unfortunate contact between the Robert Dupont and Charles Johnson. Charles getting the worst of it, unfortunately. So that's gonna shake up the drivers in this draft pack, which could be a great opportunity for those that were that little further back when they hit pit road. But yeah, it's about almost looks like 15 plus trucks on pit road here. It looks like a few still stayed out there. You got Michael Spell, Gabe Butler, and Jimmy Reynolds. They're going to try to go one extra lap here. And then that second pack as well, you got JD Crow, Sebastian Marin, Eric Calori, and Jimmy Crow Jr. Those that are trying to run that one extra lap, see if they make those big laps as they hit pit road now as well.
Yeah, we see the 88, the 1, the 17, and the 5, it looks like coming down this time by. Definitely some tire smoke as we see these guys trying to get absolutely everything as they are trying to make their way down pit road here. Cool shot here as you can see everyone entering their pits. Something interesting to note that you may not know about iRacing. So when you are on the asphalt surface there to the left down pit road, you are eligible for contact. So that is why we saw the 07 and the 9 make contact in there. But you may see some trucks driving through other people's pit stalls and actually through their other vehicles. Once you get onto the concrete that the pit stalls are actually in, there is basically a ghost car situation where there's no opportunity to make contact with those cars. So it is interesting to see that you can make contact getting onto pit road, but as you enter your pit stall, that is when you are ineligible to hit anyone and have that opportunity to drive through a couple cars here. But as we look here down the backstretch, looks like we're going to see the number 1 finally be able to pick up this lead pack here. Looks like most of that second pack that was a little bit further back and stayed out a few laps there is going to manage to stay single file in line with the leaders, and we will actually jump back to the leader of the race right now, which again is BK Anderson. So we've got BK Anderson, Bud Steele, Vicente Guerrero, Robert Dupont, and Andrew Schroeder here in the top 5. Not necessarily a surprise here. They were definitely some of the front runners in that front pack before this cycle of pit stops as we work here now with 24 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely a big one there for these guys nailing those pit stops. So, all those guys that pitted at 49, you've got 6 of them that have broken away, like you had mentioned, and then those that pitted at 50. Gabe Butler is leading that group right now, but they're about to chase him down with a pretty good head of steam here. But you're right, though. I think he's going to be able to kind of bridge that gap between them. So I think it's going to drop or get us up to about 12 trucks on this lead pack. And this is where things are going to start to get interesting again here, Boomer, because, again, these guys all pitted right around just outside 25, 26 to go. Talked about the fuel mileage being around 20, maybe 18 laps, something like that. So that gives us a very big window in this thing for how early or late these trucks could decide to hit pit road, possibly for their final scheduled stop of the race tonight. So a lot of opportunities here for these guys. But right now, it seems like you talked about some drivers maybe just trying to find somebody to work with. And right now, seems like the BK Anderson Bud Steele combo has been pretty stout here thus far tonight. So we'll have to see if that partnership continues to last, or at some point when it comes to crunch time, do we see Vicente Guerrero kind of split up that party and he and BK hook back up when it counts?
Yeah, definitely. Those guys have all been working really well together. Obviously, the 32 and the 14 have been the very few running the outside line at certain times in this race, as it looks like we do see the outside line. Looks like Michael Spell is leading that right now, trying to lead the charge to make it back up to the leaders here. We see we were working through a little bit of lap traffic there. Obviously, we picked up Gary Slapinski in the 78 truck, and now it looks like we will pick up the 08, I believe that is, of Bob Fitzgerald as well. On the outside, and
as soon as that momentum started to shift in, Boomer, you saw right there the 5'10", Richard Sanchez. He jumped up. Then the 040 Andrew Schroeder, he's like, yeah, don't mind if I do as well. And so that's what happens. You start to see that momentum shift. Everybody starts to try to pick up that draft, and that's how these things just keep growing and growing. So now we're back to 2x2. Again, 12 trucks in this lead pack here. Right now, the tail end of the truck there is that 23 Sebastian Marin, who is the last of the lead pack here on the lead lap, I should say. And then we got to start thinking about those lucky dog situations, because I believe as it sits right now, the first truck one down is Gary Slapinski.
Yeah.
And so trying to look at his intervals between the next truck in line, that would be Dean Wilkinson, but Dean's about 6.5 seconds back. So Gary's looking good right here. Is a good pit stop for him to kind of get in and out of pit road and tag back onto these guys. So now he's just, again, he's going to kind of hope for that yellow, but also hoping that it doesn't involve him.
Yeah, definitely. Gary's in a decent spot here at the back of this lead pack. Should be fairly quiet for him. You know, an opportunity for record avoidance if he were to need it. Obviously, Dean Wilkinson is the next car one lap down, and he was a couple seconds slower that lap and fading a little bit more. So it doesn't look like he has much help here out on the track. So definitely should be a one-truck battle so far for the Lucky Dog, unless we manage to lap down anyone. I think Robert Rock actually is the last truck on the lead lap right now that may eventually fade back to these leaders here. Again, being led by the 32 of BK Anderson, followed by Bud Steele, Vicente Guerrero, Robert Dupont, and Andrew Schroeder in the top 5. Andrew Schroeder, that first car in the middle lane, trying again, as you said, he made his jump up there to try and make that outside line work. And now we see the number 37. It never fails to amaze me, that number 37 car. You can always expect to see him all the way on the outside as he's trying to make that third lane work.
Yeah, and this is for Keith trying to get from 2 down to 1 down, because again, for him to have a chance to get back into this race, he's going to have to get one of those 2 laps back in. But you are right, though. Robert Rock, it's at this point, it's just a matter of when, because he's on his own, unfortunately, in that 171 truck. So he's going to get knocked back a lap, and that's going to force the hand probably of Gary Slapinski to try probably get a little more aggressive. But actually, we got to give a couple shout-outs here in that pit stop cycle. You know, mentioned those drivers that were in that second pack to try to hustle up to the front. And I believe 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the 45 of Todd Siebels was one, if I remember correctly, as well as the 23 of Sebastian Marin. They were able to bridge that gap during that pit stop cycle, a great in, great out, and great job hitting their pit stalls. And that's what jumped them to that second, or to the lead pack, I should say,
right,
as that second pack has dropped now down to about 7 seconds with Charles Johnson and JD Crow leading that group.
Yeah, I think even Gabe Butler was also a part of that mix as well. Yeah, it looks like they did have an opportunity on pit road, being roughly a whole second faster than most of these trucks here at the front that pitted on lap 49, and that definitely makes a huge difference. If you can spend 1 second less on pit road, 1 second on the track, 1 second on pit road doesn't really look like a ton because the speeds are different, but 1 second on the track is a huge distance here at well over 180 miles an hour here tonight.
And that's actually your spot on there, because I'm looking at the pit lane times for a lot of our leaders, and a lot of them are in the 36, 37 second range. But then I looked at those 2 that jumped the gap. Todd Siebel, Sebastian Marin, 35.43 for Sebastian, 35.18 for Todd Siebel. So they nailed their pit lane time to be able to jump that gap. And that's that second or 2, that's what promoted them from that second pack to the lead pack. So and again, you can get it done in the draft, you can get it done in the pits. So it's just a great in and out lap for those 2 to get them back in the running here as we're down to 18 to go. So right now, Boomer, that pit window just about open to make it to the end. Of course, that would give 0 leeway for green-white checkers. But now the question is, again, who blinks first and what lap do we think that might happen?
Speaking of blinking, we did see a couple trucks there blinking in this pack. Hopefully, another one again there on the outside lane. I'm not sure who that was exactly, but yeah, definitely it'd be interesting for sure. I think last week we definitely saw the 78 of Gary Slapinski, Keith Horner Jr. in the 37, and the 13, I believe, of Kyle Heath.
Correct,
they were able to stay out later than anyone else and reap the benefits of it, as when they finally pitted. It looks like the 88 pushing the 048 a little hard as he gets loose, but those 3 from last week were able to wait to the very end, pitted with maybe 3-4 laps to go, if I'm not mistaken, Gael. And
yeah, it was late.
Yeah, because of that, they were able to break away because they didn't spend nearly as much time on pit road. As looks like we see the 1 and the 23 working some strategy here together. We'll hop on board. Looks like the 1 and the 23 are going to be coming down pit road, and I don't see anyone else going with them. But
Will
yeah,
2 be enough though? This is a big gamble. Last time those other trucks had 3 to work with.
yeah,
This is a 2 truck pack here, so we'll see what they do. So they are the first to blink. This is coming at 16 to go, so not a lot of leeway for fuel for green white checkered potential. But those, I say, Sebastian, we saw there earlier. I mean, one of the fastest getting on and off pit road. So we'll see. Maybe they stagger it out a little bit. Maybe we see somebody else pit the next time around. Maybe 2 more trucks come in to just make sure they don't step on each other's toes during the pit stalls. But say when we talked to Gary, he had mentioned they were watching lap times. I was watching lap times, and as long as we were faster, we stayed out. So as we come through here, we'll see, does anybody react? And the answer is going to be no reaction from these guys. Gabe and Sebastian, they're already down and away. It looks like about 6-7 seconds. And again, quicker stop for fuel, but also 33 seconds on pit lane. So that's about 3 to 4 seconds quicker than what we saw a little earlier. So, but now it's all about can the 2 of them make the kind of lap time that they need.
Right. And the interesting thing, so the longer you stay out, the less fuel you might need to actually put in the truck, I believe. Maybe that's incorrect, but and we definitely saw the guys, the 3 from last week didn't have to put much fuel in and made the opportunity to just, squeak away by 4 or 5 seconds and start to pull away even with just 3 trucks over the field. But again, that came down to teamwork, and I think this one and this 23 of Sebastian Marin may still be okay because they work really well together. It looked like we have quite a bit of the field here
group.
jumping down. Yep, the 32 BK Anderson, the 6 of Bud Steele, the 14 of Vicente Guerrero, the 07 of Robert Dupont getting a little squirrely again as he enters pit road, along with the 45 and the 510 as well.
Yeah, so this is a big pack here, all hitting pit road. So again, get in cleanly. Now the next is make sure you hit your stall as well as no contact getting low down, like I said, until you get to that kind of that magic concrete, if you will. And yeah, it looks like so far so good for those guys. So we'll see, and that's going to now put Andrew Schroeder, Michael Spell, Randy Miner up front here. So let's say, I think again, those guys that pitted, they wanted to just go a little further. That gave them about a 4-lap buffer of fuel. I'm not too against that strategy there, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on the 1 and 23 because they are starting to get up to that pack here, so they're not going to lose the draft. But I say it was a gamble to get them towards the front, so we'll see how it pays off once we get to crunch time. As another pack up front here pitted.
Yeah, just about the rest of them, the 048, the 101, the 88, as well as Gary Slapinski and the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald here coming down pit road. So I think that leaves. Was it JD Crow? Oh,
this is the pack a little further back. Yeah, yep. So from JD Crow to Brendan Briggs, they have yet to make their final pit stop. I think those are pretty much the last of the lead lap drivers that have yet to pit. And this is I'm okay with this strategy. I like going long here just in case, because again, if they had pitted early, they would have been trapped a lap down. I think when you're in that situation, you've got to go long and just see how it shakes out for you. So right now, those guys are the ones that are left to pit. The question mark, of course, is going to be those that made those pit stops, kind of who's going to win that race out of pit road. And right now, looking like maybe the 101 Randy Miner looks like he had a massive pit stop because he's rolling out of pit road now with a pretty good head of steam over those behind him that also pitted. So I'll just keep an eye though, because actually here comes BK and them. Oh yeah, here they come. They're going to swallow these guys up.
Yep, yeah, so Randy Miner kind of on an island here, might get swallowed up as he might have gotten out too far ahead on that pit cycle here. As you see Andrew Schroeder leading this gaggle of cars. Yeah, BK
He's got to roll out of it, no choice. That's a nice, though. But that's respect right there. Andrew Schroeder's like, man, I wanted to go by those guys, but there's no space. I just got to roll out of it, pick up that 101, and prevent a wreck, basically. So definitely hats off to the 048 there. It's a tough call to make, but the right call to make. But he'll say, here we go again, though. So there's Gabe Sebastian. They've now got to the front on the middle lane. But say BK now, let's say, still leading the inside line once again, but now again, new partner now, the 07 of that 07 truck of Robert Dupont, kind of shuffled the Bud Steele out of this and actually looking for Bud in here. He didn't get what he was looking for. He and Todd Siebels, they actually got burned, it looks like, in this pit stop because they have lost this main pack. So unfortunately, at this point, pending yellow, say these guys are probably out of the running here. Next time by the Boomer, we're down to 10 to go.
Yep, we'll see. Definitely going to see this pack here that we are watching being led by Gabe Butler and BK Anderson, trading back and forth for 8th and 9th place. As again, we have that top 7 group from JD Crow, Jimmy Reynolds, Eric Lurie, Kyle Heath, William George, and Brandon Briggs, kind of broken off in the pack, and I kind of keep swapping back and forth. We'll head back to the pack with JD Crow in it, leading the race currently. And again, these guys all still need to make their final stop of the race in this top 7 here, trying to see if they'll bite on pit road, but it looks like they're just going to stay steady and hug that double yellow line on the inside. So getting some laps led, some points for the season for JD Crow, some bonus points, I should say. Obviously, definitely an advantage to lead a lap. Maybe not the most laps. I would think that at this point, the number 32 truck of BK Anderson was able to lead the most laps at this point, but definitely a big plus to get a few laps led and get at least one bonus point here, as we see the 39 of Jimmy Crow Jr. pushing everything he's got on the back of JD Crow. We'll look to see maybe this time by if they're going to come down. It's been 15 laps now since they last pit, so they can go quite a ways. But
they can go about 5 more if they choose to. And actually, again, I think this goes back to, once again, it kind of goes back to last week. I'm watching lap times, and it was a 51-51 for JD. Go back to Gabe, that's kind of leading that second pack with BK, and it was a 51-64 for Gabe. So they were a little over a tenth quicker, this time by a little slower lap time than the last one, a 51-72 for JD here. And saying, unfortunately, I think it's just probably because Jimmy's probably having to breathe that truck a little bit here and there to make sure he doesn't overheat himself. But so I say that is opening. And the other thing, of course, too, is these guys up front, they're running nice and calm single file.
Yeah,
that second pack that pitted, they are 3 wide here. So it's like, hey, man, if there's a late yellow, yeah, we might lose track position in the pits, but hey, we won't be in the wreck. So there's definitely some positives to that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the big difference. I know that we've kind of highlighted that so far, not too many races in the season, but all season long we technically have highlighted it, that these guys up here up front that are single file are going to have more of an advantage than the guys back running 3 wide. Obviously, knowing that these guys up front have to pit one more time, they're definitely not as desperate to try and make moves, probably just trying to stay in line and stay in the pack, whereas that pack back there with Gabe Butler and BK Anderson still leading, that's the race for the win at this point, knowing that everyone else on the track ahead of them still has yet to pit. So as long as they can keep it clean and keep it green, they will have no issues to eventually get that pack to resume the lead, as it looks like now Gabe Butler in the 1 is leading, followed by Andrew Schroeder in the 048. But we'll stay on, I should say, this lead pack here as we look to see if they are going to pit. They look like they're leading off of turn 4, but no, they are going to continue to stay the course for now, as I believe they are working on lap number, was it 18, I think, for I believe 18 or 19 for this pit cycle.
Yeah,
so
they're
definitely getting close. They're running probably this lap or next lap. So we'll stick with these guys just for now, as we'll get back to the excitement of the pack with the rest of the pack after these guys make their pit stop cycle.
Yeah, so because right now they've got about a 22 second. It's like about 27 seconds over Gabe, but it's not enough, I don't think, to get into that draft. However, like I said, they have been making time, and to kind of round back to your point about the fuel mileage. So I'll hesitate though, because here they come. They're going to hit pit road now. So now it's all about, this is the money stop for these guys here.
That 5 is coming in hot. We'll see if he can get it slowed down, and that is close for a couple trucks. Wow.
That's 17 and the 5. They were leaving nothing to chance there. But now you see some of these trucks still stuck side by side. They got to try to make sure that they stagger. So that 39 and 071 looks like they're kind of threatening to kind of bounce off each other. Now they get it settled in. But so now we'll see kind of how quick they can get in and out.
All right, so now we will jump to this lead pack as you see them entering the tri-oval here. Led again now by Gabe Butler in the 1 truck in the middle lane, being pushed by his teammate in the 23 of Sebastian Marin. BK Anderson in the 32, still leading that inside line, followed by the 07, not the 007, but 07 of Robert Dupont. We see the 048 truck of Andrew Schroeder still working hard on the outside line, being pushed by that 78 of Gary Slapinski. Obviously, we've noted Gary Slapinski is still the first truck, one lap down, but he is able to still stay up here with the leaders to that advantage to make sure he stays in the lucky dog position here. So we will see where these guys pull out, as it looks like actually JD Crow, Eric Laurie, and Brandon Briggs have already pulled back out on the track, and they are 10 seconds behind. You may see them in the end of this shot here as they, no, not quite, as they are just about leaving turn 4 as these guys are in the middle of the trioval here. So definitely a disappointing opportunity for them to be that far behind of the rest of this main pack that we will follow here for the rest of the race, as we are working with 5 laps here to go.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't pan out the way they were hoping for, but again, I mean, they were in a kind of between a rock and a hard place to get into that pit stop cycle. So I liked the gamble. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out, but yeah, I mean, still, again, like you said, there's still 5 to go, and of course, the bigger one, of course, is at this point basically 4 to go to get that white flag. That's going to be the big one at that point. From there, then we know it's official race, and then from there they can race out. So for JD and Eric and them, they're like, all right, if there's going to be an incident, just make it before we get to that white, because we want to have a chance at this thing here. But up front, though, I mean, it's anybody's guess, because, yeah, I'm a little surprised to see Gary Slapinski working with the 048 as much as he has. I kind of figured he would just try to help out the 23 and the one in the middle lane, but again, I think he's got to still think about that lucky dog position for himself. And I say, knowing Gary too, you always like to kind of push some drivers, maybe call a dark horse, if you will, because I say it's definitely Andrew Schroeder's run a very good race tonight. So I say if he could get an opportunity to get that big push from Gary, it's one of those things where if you can't win it, if you can push somebody to the win, it's almost as good of a feeling, especially when you rack up as many wins as that 78's been able to over the course of his racing career.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of guys up here in this front pack that have a lot of experience. It looks like we see the 510 try to make the move to the outside to pick up the 048, but there's a lot of guys up here up front with experience. And one of the biggest things you have to know is that you really have to get in line and push with the guy that you are behind. There is almost no other way. I mean, you can take your opportunities to move lanes when you can, but the biggest thing is absolutely pushing the guy ahead of you, because if you are not committed to the guy in front of you, your lane is never going to move forward. And if it's the white flag lap and you got a teammate in front of you, it is definitely more advantageous for you to get your teammate that win versus trying to jump out, because there's a lot of times, a little wiggle from the 32, from the push from the 07, but a lot of times where if you cannot push, if you can't make it yourself, it's better to push your teammate versus to jump out, try to pass them, and then both of you may end up not winning. But like you were saying earlier, Gael, looks like the 123 and the 78 of Gary Slapinski have now actually teamed up in that middle lane. See some teamwork working here as they look to push the middle lane and Gabe Butler to the front with 2 laps to go here in the race.
Yeah, 2 to go in that third lane, starting to form those. Say again, first race over here with these guys. Richard Sanchez is saying he's battling for the win here, possibly able to help that 80 of Michael Spell even get a win tonight. Saying that, of course, Andrew Schroeder does say, unfortunately, he kind of went from being in the lead of the outside lane now to being the third truck in the outside lane. So not quite what he was hoping for, is a little bobble down the backstretch. Again, I say they're about to get to that point where it's like, okay, all bets are off. We're just going to be pushing for all we're worth here. But yeah, that middle lane is strong, is close there between the 14 and 78 through 3 and 4. Now the question is, can they get out of 4 through the trial? They'll stay unscathed and say, yeah, this is up front. We don't even know what that second pack's doing, so we'll see what we got here, Boomer.
Yep, yeah, we're going to stay focused on our leaders here because most of the excitement is definitely going to be here for the race lead. It looks like the number 1 is being pushed by Sebastian Marin in the 23. We will see who will lead. I think the number 1 truck led us to the white flag lap, and we will see who can make it happen. Obviously, the 32 and the 07 had a big push there out of 4, but the start-finish line is not until the end of the short shoot after the tri-oval, so it'll be interesting here to see who gets the run as the 88 looks to make some contact, and they wreck. Oh, the whole pack is wrecking here. Who's going to get through? The number 1 truck stays. Oh, the 07 and the 14. Wow, that was crazy. The 07 and 14 are still pointing straight and are still going. Obviously,
side by side. They got some damage on them. They're going to start side drafting each other. This is going to open up opportunity for Randy
Minor. They wreck.
Here.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, they make contact. Oh, the 101 is well in it. Now Gabe
Butler just barely makes through. Oh, my gosh. This is insane. Oh, looks like Gabe Butler here on an island. The 101 just behind him, but I think Gabe Butler here is going to make it to the line unless the 101 can make it there
Nah,
first.
yeah, Gabe's
Wow,
got now the
Gabe
fights
Butler
for
got it.
second.
Oh, yep,
Vicente's
I
going to still
apologize.
grab second. And Robert Dupont's going to bring it home in third. So unfortunately, the two that were fighting possibly for the win, they start the side draft. They make contact, and that let Gabe sneak right back by at the end. So we're going to go back and look at that, Boomer, because that's probably one of the most chaotic finishes I've seen over here in Area 51 in a long time.
We're going to
like
go.
You said, the whole field gets caught up in it.
I know.
Then just kind of, it's okay, these two are going to fight out between themselves. They get into it as well. And then it brings it right back into the mix. And Gabe's, you don't have to tell Gabe twice. He's going to find a way. He's going to sneak into that
All right,
thing.
so first we're going to take it back to the backstretch, and the initial contact looked like the 510 truck just pushing the 88 too hard and gets him to go sideways into the 1. And then by that time, the 510 is to the outside of the 88, and he gets cooked to the outside line, and they start to make absolute chaos here. Unfortunate for a lot of good trucks who had a really great run. Looked like the 07 and the 14 were able to keep it straight and pointed. As you can see, Sebastian Marin in the 23 here is going to get absolutely destroyed here. We will switch over here now to Gabe Butler, who resumed the lead at this point until the 07 and the 14 you'll see come in from the right side of your screen and made their opportunity to make it to the front here. And we'll just keep it on this here. We'll focus on the 14 and the 17 as we watch them come back up on the banking and watch as they made their contact here in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, so I'm going back. I'm looking at it myself as well, and it's like because initially it's like okay, they're going to make contact for the with the merge from the apron to the track, but they get through there clean. But then they start to get greedy and they start to side draft one another, and unfortunately, that's where it starts to kick off once more.
And the 07 just gets turned, and then that hands it over.
And watch how close it was, though, for the one truck in the 14, because
we'll be watching this right here. As they come back, I think as they come back down the field, as they collect, the 101 there. And I think it was the 14. Yeah, the 14 right of Vicente. It wasn't as close as it looked like from the forward-facing camera, but it's definitely way more close for comfort. I'm sure Gabe Butler looked back and saw that in his rearview mirror and definitely was not looking forward to that, but able to make it clear and able to make his way all the way around to the line first and grab his first victory of the season.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a crazier finish than that one. I say that's again. I mean, to have the big wreck, the whole field involved. Okay, it's going to be between these guys, and then they make contact, and then Gabe's like, "Yeah, go on at it, boys. I will gladly snag that one back there." Because if you're Gabe, you're like, "Hey, man, that almost got taken away from me because they got into the right rear of you behind you." And so he was just kind of an innocent bystander on that record. I mean, of course, a lot of them were too, but just, man, wild stuff here. So we got to chat with some of these guys about this wild stuff here, Boomer.
Yeah,
and this is going to be fun.
Yeah, we'll start with our third place finisher on the podium tonight. That was Robert Dupont, who spent quite a bit of time tonight in the top 5 really all night. If we want to bring him up here into the booth.
So yeah, let's grab Robert on in over here. And all right, Robert, that's, I say, Boomer and I were talking, man, that's probably one of the craziest finishes we've seen over the course of our Area 51 broadcasts. And everything's looking good. You see, everybody gets in that wreck in the backstretch, and then you and Vicente, you come through unscathed, and then you guys start to kind of side draft and try to kind of work each other over there at the end. And unfortunately, didn't quite go to plan there. But I mean, just take us through the race, the pit strategies, because I mean, you had to nail your pit stops to stay in that main draft there. Did a great job, and then of course get down to it at the very end, and just all bets are off. I mean, just take us through your shoes. What did you see there?
Well, yeah, that was my plan. You know what I mean? Just to have some really good pit stops there, and then at the end, I had a good pit stop, and then I was able to get behind BK, and then we all kind of pushed to the front, and then at the end, it got a little crazy. Got through that, and yeah, just like you said, man, it was. I almost had that race handed, but that didn't happen. maybe next week. But I'm happy to finally get on, at least third here.
Yeah, definitely a great opportunity for a podium there. And looked like towards the middle of the race, we did see you make a little bit of contact on pit road there, I believe during the second pit stop of the night. So was that just a case of not getting woed up in time down pit road, or did that give you any damage? And how did that affect your truck for the rest of the race?
Well, I had my quick pair set, so when I came in, a couple of people got into each other. Somebody got into me, and then I got into Charles there. But luckily, I was able to still keep it going. And then that quick repair came into play, and then from there on out, I was pretty good. So I was able to get out still and maintain the draft.
Yeah, I mean, and that was exactly that was the big stuff. There was just to be able to hold on to the draft because I mean, I say that was really where it really split up the field. Where some drivers, like I said, had the little bobbles and they kind of wound up losing the draft and everything like that. So to hang on to it like you did and stay after it from the get go is a very very well done. And like you said, I mean, I say it's nice to be able to get an interview with you here because I say you've been here, you've been supporting this league for a long time. You've always had really good looking paint schemes on that truck as well. So just a great job tonight, Robert, and to bring home that podium this evening. I'm sure, like I said, definitely still fun to get it. Like I said, kind of felt like it was maybe about to fall in your lap, but you never know with these things. But just a great job tonight getting that podium, and definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that third spot.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And, I want to thank Area 51. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I always watch you guys week in, week out. And, yeah, man, I'm hoping to get more interviews here and happy to finally get one. Who knows? It might go better from here. But my pit stops are usually pretty good, so we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, that's job number one, man.
Yeah, congratulations again. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, thanks. Congratulations again, Robert Dupont here. Great job on your podium finish tonight. And we will look to move through our rest of our podium here tonight. Up next will be our second place finisher of the 14 of Vicente Guerrero, as we will bring him up into the booth as well. So we got the 14 here of Vicente Guerrero. What a crazy final lap. How did you manage to hold on there and get that second place finish? It looked like at one point you might have had an opportunity to maybe get the win battling out with the 07, but a little bit of hard side drafting and made some contact. But yeah, take us through that last lap as you managed to pull off a second place finish tonight.
Yeah, I just kind of got lucky there. I mean, I got shoved, doored on the side, kind of pushed me off down on the bottom away from everybody else. And I wanted to just make sure I merged back on the track clear. I knew Robert was on the outside there. And I side there after it a little bit. And it looked like a little bit of net code there that we got connected. And that's how I got the second. And I don't know. I wish I would have won.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying I mean, it was looking good, and it's like, okay, these guys are gonna be duking it out and see, kind of like I said, who can maybe side draft the other and sneak by a little bit, and but then the question mark was even without that, though. I mean, there were some trucks with some pretty decent momentum still chasing guys back down there, but just yeah, I mean, like I say, Boomer was saying probably one of the more wild finishes we've been a part of this season, but the other thing was you never really got the opportunity. It seemed like most of the night, there was always somebody kind of in between you and BK where you guys couldn't quite hook up and try to get going together there. Was there any approach at some point like, hey, let's try to find a way to get together, or is it just like, hey man, I'd love to help you, but at this point we're kind of pinned to the bottom and I can't get around that guy without doing anything crazy.
Well, I knew Robert was down there. I knew he was going to push BK if he had to. And I just wanted to, if I'm the third guy, I'm going to make sure I'm right next to Robert to help push. I knew BK was down on the bottom, so I think it played out all right. BK, it didn't play out too good for him. He got, 12th? But overall, I think it was a pretty good race. We were working together pretty good.
Yeah, definitely had a lot of opportunities for you to stay with the lead pack, especially through most of the pit cycles there. So definitely a great opportunity to stay up front there and kind of stay out of the chaos. Obviously, we didn't have too much chaos, but seemed like you were able to at least keep your nose clean there for most of that race.
Yeah, I did get into Seabass there, and I do apologize for Seabass for getting him. I thought I was clear, and I wasn't. So obviously, it did cause a wreck, and I didn't want to cause that wreck, and I didn't want to, wreck Seabass. So I try to race clean as much as possible. I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely a good opportunity tonight for you to finish second. I'm sure, like you said, you wanted to have a little bit more here tonight, but give you a chance to have the floor here and give any shout outs that you'd like to give here for your second place finish tonight.
Yeah, of course, Area 51 for hosting this race, and you guys for broadcasting. I really enjoy racing in this league, and you guys broadcasting. I always like to go back and watch the race after. And I'd like to thank the Budweiser. I enjoy drinking my Bud every day, so that's why I raced the paint scheme.
Good stuff for sure. Well, congratulations again, Vicente. Again, not what you might have expected, but still a solid run for you tonight. All right, so we will look next to bring in our race leader, the number 1 of Gabe Butler. Definitely a pretty crazy finish for him here tonight, but still getting the win. We've been talking through all of the podium drivers here tonight. Give us an opportunity to take us through your view from this crazy last lap finish after the white flag flew.
Well, I'm not sure what to say about that, to be honest with you. I don't think I've seen nothing like that or never experienced anything like that. I got that lucky. So, yeah, I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean that was weird. I mean, we've been talking about it from the replay on. I mean, and that's kind of the same boat. Gabe is like, it's probably one of the craziest finishes I've seen. I mean, I've been through a handful of seasons and years with this league already. But yeah, to have a wreck where like literally involves the whole front pack there, and then it's just kind of who can grab a gear, get going first, and okay, it looks like it's going to be these two guys. It doesn't wind up working out that way. They make contact, and then you sneak back right around them. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, you've done plenty of your own super speedway races and had your successes. I mean, have you had one kind of, I wouldn't say fall into your lap, because I mean, you had to work hard for this one tonight, obviously. But I mean, have you had an outcome like this before in any of your other races, or is this kind of a new one to add to your list there?
That's definitely a new one for me. I'm normally on the wrong end of the stick on this one, but just looking back at it here, I think it was Vicente and Robert, maybe Dupont. I guess they were trying to side draft each other and made contact or something. And I think Randy at that point was licking his lips. He's like, "Yeah, I got this." And then he got collected up into the wall. And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And so I mean, I had some bad damage. I slammed it into the wall in the backstretch and just kept the foot in the gas pedal and tried to make it to the finish line without getting past, and just got lucky. But yeah, definitely have not experienced anything like that.
Yeah,
yeah, and you're right. I just went back and looked at the from Randy's point of view, and yeah, you're spot on. It's like, oh, everything's looking good. Oh, nope, the hole closes. But
yeah, it looked like Vicente Guerrero almost cleared your right rear quarter panel as he was coming back off the track. So did you see that in your rearview mirror as you were coming to the checkered flag?
I didn't see that, no, but
okay, maybe one to look back at, because that was from our vantage point at least, it looked pretty close. So
at that point, I think, oh yeah, you're right, I'm looking at it now. But yeah, at that point, I was just kind of, well, Jesus, there's nobody else left to wreck, so let's just keep going here. And I'm sure the guys are going to be kicking themselves, those Vicente and Robert probably. But yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Hey, a win's a win, but it's not the way you want to win it. But I'll take it.
Not for sure the way you want to win it, but I think this is actually you. Maybe not on was it St. Patrick's Day? Not on St. Patrick's Day, but just around St. Patrick's Day, and now winning on the Cinco de Mayo. So definitely a couple wins here in or around some of the drinking holidays, as you've got Guinness on board of that wonderful looking one truck. As we are looking at here, you doing some burnouts here back down the front stretch. So definitely a big congratulations. Kind of sometimes win them how you can get them, and it still counts as a win in the win column. And now we want to give you a chance to have the floor and give out any shout outs you'd like to give from your first win of the season here tonight.
shout out to Area 51 for putting on the league. You guys for doing a fantastic job broadcasting the big show, and of course my teammates. Again, you're nothing on a super speedway without your teammates, and I felt like myself and Sebastian had that wrapped up. If it didn't wreck, he was doing a fantastic job controlling that the lead there in the middle lane, but unfortunately the wreck happened. But yeah, props to the guys again. Fabulous job as usual.
Yeah, definitely congratulations to Gabe in the #1 truck here tonight. Like you said, sometimes you can take them how you can get them, and definitely an exciting race. I guess, Gael, have you ever seen anything in this league be nearly as crazy as this was tonight for a finish?
No, I think you've definitely kicked off your broadcasting career here on a wild one here tonight. I'll say this is definitely one of the have you ever, no I've never type scenarios in this race tonight. But yeah, just wild. Like I said, I mean, it's again coming to the checker. I mean, at that point all bets are off. It's going to be everybody pushing again as hard as possible, and just unfortunately just a little push too hard got one truck out of sorts, and that's what collected those guys in the back. And then of course from there kind of was okay, who can grab a gear and get going first, and it looked like it was Vicente and Dupont's to win, and then they make the contact, and then then it was Gabe and Randy, and unfortunately Randy went high and that hole closed, and Gabe was able to sneak on by on the inside. And definitely one of the more wild ones, and I mean we've had some wild finishes, but never anything along that sort of a situation before, where it's just kind of who can get a gear going first to get to the checkered flag. So yeah, so you started off strong here. I don't know, man. It might be all downhill from here, Boomer.
Yeah, I would for sure hope not. Maybe hopefully uphill on the camera and the editing work, but few hiccups here, but I wouldn't say too terrible for my first broadcast. Still thankful to you, Gael, and the rest of our Green White Checker TV here for giving me the opportunity to be the lead anchor and control of the broadcast here. Definitely going to be looking forward to running the rest of these for the season here on Thursday nights. Obviously, appreciate Gael joining us tonight. You may hear a few different voices in and out of the booth this season, but you will be stuck with me, I should say, maybe unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to being stuck with you guys as we continue to move along this Area 51 Thursday Truck Super Speedway Series season. This will do it for race number 2 tonight here at Talladega Super Speedway. Next week we will look to move for our first race at Daytona International Speedway, and looking forward to getting back to the 2.5 mile oval. Definitely a little bit of beating and banging tonight, but it was a lot of fun, and I couldn't have asked for anything better for a challenge for my first broadcast as the cameraman and the lead voice guy. So for all of us here at Green White Checker TV, we hope to see you again soon. We have our next league race on Sunday night with the the Next Gen Series, I believe, and I will be back with you on Tuesday night for the IndyCar Series next week, and back again Thursday again for the Truck Super Speedway Series. So hope you all have a great rest of your week. Appreciate everyone for joining tonight and or rewatching the broadcast, and take care until we talk to you next time.